Hello, this is Kara from Kara Tarot with a general reading for Wednesday, September 3rd, 2025. Many of you who follow my channel know that I have been reading this marvelous book by Marcus Katz and Tali Goodwin called Secrets of the Waite-Smith Tarot. In this book is a tarot spread that apparently Waite used but did not put in with his deck. It's the Rose Cross spread. Of course, this has to do with the society, the Golden Dawn, and the Rosicrucians, somewhere in the middle of all of that. And it is a larger spread, which is why I have this panned out. Oh, and I am using the antique edition of the tarot by Vieux Monde, and it's a really luscious deck with kind of this coffee stained look. I've already shuffled and cut the deck, so we can just start. Now, this calls for you to say certain things as you lay down the card. So the first card is, the rose is the first, most beautiful and perfect of all the flowers, such is my soul. It is guarded by thorns everlasting, preserving its purity. It is in the center of the garden of philosophy, wherein the true rose blooms. The sun and the moon are the red and white of the roses, and herein is all mystery. The green lion eats of the sun and feeds this rose. The rose is a perfume to the wise and a balm to the blessed. And finally, it is prepared in blood and turns to the light, to its own perfection in this art. And I'm just gonna, it's supposed to be straight, but I don't have much room here. And I think I'm gonna have to shift things around anyway, as I usually do. My space here is fairly small. Let me see if that did it. Oh, yeah, that gave me the space I needed. Okay. And I'm just setting this off to the side. It should just be across. I mean, does that help? Does that help? There. Okay. So the rose card, the first card, shows you how your soul is seeking to bloom at this time. Your soul is seeking to bloom by holding on to the things that you have in great appreciation of them, but also wanting to be sure that you have everything lined up for yourself and your family and your home, having everything lined up, perhaps a bit precariously. The Thorn card, the card that protects you but also hinders you, is a challenge to your spiritual progress at this moment, and that is the Two of Wands. It's like you want to be outward, more outward looking. You want to be getting going, and instead you are remaining kind of in stasis here. You want to be laying the groundwork to be able to move forward, but you're feeling kind of stuck there, where you're feeling really that you have bloomed. This is also the wish card, so it means you're getting a lot of what you want here. So you're not necessarily feeling stuck because you're very comfortable. The third card is the garden card. The garden shows the situation and environment around you from a spiritual perspective. And oh, what a lovely spiritual perspective this is. This is one of my favorite cards, the Seven of Pentacles. It includes aspects of everyday life. And this is a lesson that you will need to learn before you move on. And the lesson is that you have to take these moments of appreciation and step back and evaluate how they fit into your larger plans. It's not just enough to be comfortable here. You have to say, is there anything here that you need to get rid of? Like, is your collection too big? For example, do you have, clothes in your closet that you need to get rid of because they don't fit anymore? This is that time of weeding out, and definitely appreciating what you have, but also understanding that there's a larger picture and you need to review everything in terms of that larger picture to make sure that you are actually on track. The fourth card is the Sun and Moon card. This is the card that shows what is presently divided or separated in your life and what you must get together. Well, divided and separated is that you're just overwhelmed, you're overburdened, and just having trouble with that aspect of your life. It may make you feel kind of split, that you want to step back, but you feel like you just can't take a moment to step back because there is just simply too much to do and you're feeling too overwhelmed by it. The fifth card is the Green Lion card. The lion shows us how to go about incorporating the spiritual lessons. And the King of Pentacles is a wonderful person to remind you how to incorporate this, because once again, the King of Pentacles looks at the big picture. He wants to balance the spiritual and the material for the best good, for the largest amount of people. You have to be forceful and ram-headed if you need to be, but everything is done so that the most people can have growth and blossoming and plenty. And putting it back into this person's hands, sometimes you have to prune things at a certain time of year. Things have to be pruned before they can come back and grow well. The sixth card is the Healing card. This is supposed to be the balm and perfume of the soul. It's about spiritual resources and indicates your best avenue of assistance in accomplishing the work of the lion. This. So clearly this means difficult decisions have to be made, which is what we were just talking about, the pruning. So, and these are not necessarily material choices. They are things that you might have even hidden from yourself, things that you don't want to look at because you're enjoying their presence. And so you just now take a moment to notice this character is one of the characters that is clearly on a stage. She's sitting on a stage and this is the backdrop behind her. So this feels very dramatic, but it's more representational in this instance. So, the decision that she's making may be sharp or that you're making may be sharp and difficult. It will require your intuition. Not quite sure whether her eyes are peeking out from underneath the bandage, so she might be seeing some of what she needs to see. But these are not things that can be juggled. It's either or, and you do have to make some decisions. And as I said before, pruning is necessary. So cutting things away is, in many cases, is necessary for you to be able to move forward as you want to. And finally, the 7th card, the blood card. This is the light to which we must turn our spiritual life above all things. So this is our memories, our childhood memories. It's so interesting. Many times in my life, I have kind of paused and said, what would my childhood self have thought of where I am now? Would that child be happy with the things that I have? Because often what children want is much more basic than what we want as adults. And so I would say this again is telling you, this can inform this. Take a look back to that, those core innocent things that you thought were the most important. Now, they may not be relevant anymore, but it's a good thing to use as an evaluator. You may look and see the things in your life and say, oh yes, this, and this that I have are things that I always wanted all through my life. They were goals, and they were also innocent joys. And then these other things that I have, maybe these over here, are things that are completely foreign to that. Actually, it could be kind of 3, 3, and 3 here. 3 of them are these things. 3 of them are things that are completely foreign to that. And yet, as an adult, I know that they're necessary. And then there may be 3 more that are neither part of what I always wanted, and they're also not at all necessary for where I want to be going now. And that's how you make these decisions. And that can apply to material goods. It can apply to the people in your life, the people you've surrounded yourself with. It can apply to your workplace and what you do and the business that you're doing. And and it can apply to you spiritually. It's like, what have I taken on spiritually? I mean, I will say, and if you're part of watching TarotTube, there's so many things that you could get that could be part of your spiritual life. And you could just accumulate all of the things. And I was talking to one of my friends and just said, oh, so many pretty things. And I said, but that particular item, I said, for me, is too many little pieces, I would lose them. And so it's like, do you need the crystals? Do you need, do you need whatever, the candles? Do you need whatever it is that you're surrounding yourself with? I have a perfect example here. I have a very small space, so I really have to consider what I consider adds to the space and what is clutter every time before I turn on the camera. So those are the kind of determinations that you have to make. Now, one thing I didn't tell you is I altered this. This is supposed to be a majors only spread. That was his intention. I do think this spread is really deep. But I did alter this spread because that's the way I cook. I throw in my own things and I change ingredients, and I'm going to do that now by adding 2 additional oracle cards to this reading. So we have, well, if I did it this way, that would be fledgling and becoming. So fledgling reminds us of these things, going back to these things that were important to us before we could fly on our own. And then becoming, I think, reminds us of what I've just been talking about. What's really essential now? You know, do you have to have all the things? Or is it enough to, you know, just have your cat in your chair? You know, a comfy place to be with someone who makes you feel comfy, be it animal or person, and an interest that you have. And in this case, it's bugs, and he has a little magnifying glass. But, you know, paring your life down to what is the core of your happiness, and then from that lens, a literal lens there, from that lens, looking at your life and figuring out, even though you're comfortable now, figure out where you want to be again. You know, ask the fledgling, where do you want to be? So, that is the Rose Cross spread by Arthur Waite, and I hope you enjoyed that. And again, that can be found in the really wonderful book, Secrets of the Waite-Smith Tarot. This is Kara from Kara Tarot. Have a day filled with discernment. Thank you.